So, yeah, our mission for this deep dive, let's try to untangle this main conflict, figure out who... Okay, welcome everyone. Today we're diving into Allison Saft's Wings of Starlight. Our source material takes us right into Pixie Hollow, you know, the place. But it's split, divided between the warm seasons, sunny, bright.
Right, and then the winter woods. Super mysterious, icy, feels very distinct.
Yeah, exactly. It sets up this kind of classic fantasy vibe, but you can already sort of feel trouble brewing, can't you?
Oh, definitely. And what jumps out right away is this duality. Not just the place, but the main character, Clarion.
Tell us about her.
Well, she's this young fairy, right? It's supposed to be queen, and she's powerful starlight magic, teleportation, the works.
Sounds like she's all set then.
You'd think. But the source really leans into how unprepared she feels, like totally overwhelmed, especially with her coronation coming up. It makes you wonder, you know, is having the magic actually enough to lead in this world Saft's built? Maybe not.
That's a really good point. It's not just having powers, it's the weight of it all, the expectation.
Yeah.
And then things get really complicated. These nightmares show up.
Yeah, coming out of the winter woods.
And they're not just like monsters. They're made of fear.
Which is terrifying. Imagine something that literally embodies your worst anxieties.
Right. Talk about high stakes for Pixie Hollow. So, yeah, our mission for this deep dive, let's try to untangle this main conflict, figure out who the key players are, and nail down the big theme Saft seems to be exploring.
And Clarion's hesitation at the start, even with all that power, it feels deliberate. You know, maybe Saft is suggesting that real leadership isn't about not having doubts.
But having the courage anyway.
Yeah, maybe that vulnerability is actually where her strength comes from later on. It's an interesting angle.
I like that. And she doesn't just sit around worrying, does she?
Yeah.
The source points out she decides to head straight for that forbidden border, you know, between spring and winter.
Which is a bold move.
Totally. Taking charge, even though she's apprehensive. What does that tell us about her, really, deep down?
Well, it throws her right into the path of Milori. He's the guardian of the winter woods.
Wow.
And their first meeting, well, it's pretty frosty. You can feel the tension, the history between the two realms. It's not exactly a warm welcome.
Yeah, you can imagine all that suspicion built up over who knows how long.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Sets up a really interesting dynamic from the start.
So ice everywhere, literally and, you know, figuratively.
Sure.
But then they have this common enemy, right? These
nightmares.
The fear things. Suddenly they've got a shared problem they have to deal with.
So an alliance happens out of necessity.
Pretty much. And what's compelling is how that seems to shift. The source hints it becomes more than just working together. It mentions a star-crossed romance.
Oh, okay. So between Clarion and Milori.
Yeah. And it's not just about them falling for each other. It's like their connection challenges everything. The division, the prejudice between spring and winter fairies.
It's that forbidden love idea, but tied into the actual politics and history of their world. Big stuff. Definitely. And through all this, we see Clarion change, don't we?
Yeah, her whole arc. She starts out kind of unsure, this reluctant heir.
Weighed down by it all.
But grows into someone who actually fights for unity. It's a journey of finding herself, really, driven by needing to protect everyone and maybe, you know, follow her heart too.
And looking beyond just Clarion and Milori, the source points to these bigger themes. Duty, obviously. That's huge for Clarion.
And the forbidden love, we mentioned that.
Right, and hope too. Holding on to hope even when things seem, well, nightmarish. Plus, there's that little mention of political intrigue.
Oh, yeah.
It makes you wonder, with this deep split between the woods, are there like hidden factions, old grudges fueling the separation? Adds another layer, potentially.
So pulling it all together, it seems like the ending isn't just about beating the monsters. It's about Clarion and Milori actually changing the whole relationship between spring and winter.
Tearing down those walls, maybe.
Building something new based on working together.
Exactly. It sounds like Wings of Starlight is really about a young leader finding her footing, her real power. Not just magic, but the power to, like, connect people, bridge those gaps.
Showing that unity can be the strongest magic there is, even in a fantasy world.
Well put, yeah.
So thinking about this story, the divided woods, the nightmares feeding on fear, it makes you think, doesn't it? What kinds of borders do we have in our world? You know, ideological ones, social ones, even personal fears. Could unexpected alliances, focusing on what we share instead of what divides us, actually help overcome them? Something to chew on, for sure.
Grab Wings of Starlight by Allison Saft, now on sale for $12.95. Don't miss this chance to build good habit and achieve remarkable results. Buy now, today.
Like and subscribe for more Bookhaven podcasts.